Hey guys, in my last video we did a really cool PvE Stun Crusader build. For this next video we're going to be looking at PvP builds. Now I have two builds to have a look at, both continuing on from the Stun Crusader kind of meta and then just making a few tweaks depending on your playstyle. Now the first build I'm going to look at is what I call basically a solo PvP build that's not really required to be in a group, and it's definitely not a buff style of skill set. But the idea being, if we have a look at skills, we've got Draw and Quarter, we've got Condemned, we've got Sacred Chain, and we've got Spinning Shield. Now, if we have a look firstly at our green sets to see what we're doing here, we've got 2 bonus for Grace, we've got 2 bonus for Vithu, and we've got 2 bonus for Untouchable Mountback. Untouchable Mountback being the shield. Now, if we look at our Paragon, we are running Gladiator, specifically for the cheat death mechanic, so that when we die, we can be stunned for a few seconds and then come back. If we have a look at our legendaries, we've got Pride as bait for the helmet. Anyone affected by the Sacred Chains are pulled together. We pair that with the Pouncing Shield, so that when we do group people with the Frozen Chains, we can then hit them with Spinning Shield. It bounces between everybody that happens to be affected by the chains. On the torso, we've got Iron Suzerain. Condemn now continuously drags enemies towards you. And we pair that with the Flare to Mirror, which will be the Lightning Steed. Now, theory being, if we have a look at our skill rotation, we trigger the horse, we trigger the Condemned. The Condemned is being used as a defense mechanism. If we get close to anyone, if anyone gets close to us, their skill will be interrupted. This is really handy if you're getting charged by a Barbarian or Satyr, or if you are charging a Necro or Wizard. Whatever they happen to be doing, it'll interrupt them, that skill will stop. This is single-handedly how a Crusader stays on their horse for the majority of the time. And this is a skill-focused playstyle. We need to be constantly in one skill group or the other triggering. If you don't have a skill up, if they're on cooldowns, you run the hell away. So, on the shoulders, we've got the Frozen Chains. Now, the Frozen Chains will then group people together. And again, once we group people, freeze them with the chains, we melt them with the Spinning Shield. So the skill rotation is you trigger the horse, you trigger Condemned, you get close but not too close unless you feel confident in interrupting them. The Lightning Steed will stun the person after 3 consecutive lightning strikes, and usually within your skill rotation you've got a minimum of 6 to 7 lightning strikes. The theory being, you stay about half a screen away until they're stunned, then you go in, start hitting them with damage. By the end of that, the second stun should happen, and then you hit them with Frozen Chains, and then you hit them with Spinning Shield. Usually that's enough to wipe someone off the map pretty quickly within a full rotation. Now, as you may have noticed, this is a skill-heavy style of gameplay. So, in order to survive as a Crusader, we need to be very strategic and very tactful. We don't attack head-on, you will die. We flank and we come behind, or we stick to objectives. We don't chase people, we don't go head-on, we don't run into immediate danger. If you do that, you'll get stunned, you'll get interrupted, your cooldowns will mean that you've got nothing, and we don't really care what's in our primary slot because the auto damage isn't really the focus here, it's the skill rotation. By doing that, you should be able to get up to Legend with a 60 to 75% win rate quite easily. Now, in terms of gem selection, Bloodsoaked Jade, best of class. Phoenix Ashes will give us another fatal damage protection. Now, Cheat Death and Phoenix Ashes proc separately, so you basically have 2 waves of survival post fatal damage. That's going to keep you alive. We've got Blessing of the Worthy. I've got this because it's my highest ranked 3-star gem, and I need the rezo, but it's super handy as well. More handy for PvP challenge rifts, really, but it does help in PvP as well. We've got Fang because it is a battle pass gem and a boon gem. You're going to get these if you have either of them running, so you might as well stock it for the rezo and the increased damage anyway. Bottled Hope works really well with Crusaders because it does proc off the steed, giving you an increased speed and damage whilst you are on the horse. And Chipperstone Flesh, because this is still primarily a stun style build and will proc off the lightning horse on the pants. Now, Chipperstone Flesh, again with the previous video, it is based on total loss of control, so it needs to be a full stun. It will only trigger on the pants. It doesn't trigger on the frozen chains, because that is a loss of control, but not total loss of control. I used to have Pain of Subjugation, but for PvE, I've still got it. It's right up here somewhere. But for PvE, I switched that out with the Phoenix Ashes for that additional fatal damage support. Now, as you can tell, this isn't dependent on groups. You can really solo PvP using this method. If so, focus on objectives. You're not a tank. Get in, melt, leave. Very, very dependent on skill rotations and cooldowns, but play objectively and play strategically. Flank, interrupt, come from behind, don't tackle anything head on, you are going to die. Now, if you are wanting more of a group-based loadout, then this is where all of the buffs and supports of Crusaders will come into play. What we've got here is skill sets. Let's have a look. Still got Condemned and Draw and Quarter, simply because the Condemned helps you stay on the horse. A horse keeps you mobile. But in terms of the second skill rotation, we're going with Conjuration of Light, which will provide your group immunity for 3 seconds, and then Holy Banner, which will stick to you with the horse for increased crit damage. Again, looking at the equipment, Arrow Keeper for having the Holy Banner moving with you. Still got Iron Suzerain for the Condemned interruption. Again, this is primarily to keep you on the horse. Although we have paired this with the Torrential Refrain, which Condemned now immediately detonates its damage on the enemies it hits. Still got the Lightning Steed because I've got the Stun Gem, so that pairs quite nicely. Again, doesn't really matter what you put in this primary slot. We're not too focused on that. And then on the shoulders, we are increasing the Holy Banner. Now here, actually, you can start playing around in terms of if do you want to increase the Holy Banner or the Conjuration of Light. Switch between the two, see what works. Green set's still the same. But the main difference between this is that you are no longer stunning enemies and melting enemies individually. You are a pest. You still come in strategically, you still come in flanking and from the back, but the whole idea is that the Draw and Quarter and the Condemned are for your mobility, and then the Conjuration and the Banner are for your team. Be tactical. Stay with your group first and foremost, because this is a buff support build. Give them immunity, give them crit damage, get the hell out. You are really playing as a pest. Now, full credit to Crapper in the Olympians Bloodsworn clan I'm a part of. Him and I have been discussing Crusader builds a lot, and this was his build that he recommended. And by his own words, his entire ethos with this build as a Crusader is to be a pain in the ass. You support your teammates, you buff your teammates, you let them engage, and then you hold back. You won't get many kills with this particular style of build, but your assists will be through the roof, and if you're playing objectively, you're going to win. So we've got two options here. If you're in a group, use the PvP buff build. If you aren't confident you can get into a group, or if they still have the group party bug in Battlegrounds and want to just do solo play, use the Sacred Chains freeze and melt build. Either or, you should be able to get to Legend very quickly with these. I got to Legend with about a 65% win rate very, very easily, just focusing on the 3 games a day. And they're both really, really fun. So if you are interested in these and you give them a go, let me know how you went. If you have any other recommendations, feel free to leave them in the comments. And regardless, I'm going to link the initial PvP build that I found on Reddit within the comments, and I'll check you later.